Live on Bloomberg. Mr. Secretary, it's great to see you. I want to welcome you back to Bloomberg. And I guess I should start by saying happy birthday. We were joking earlier, it was Infrastructure Week until it became Infrastructure Year in your administration. We were just discussing with Jordan Fabian. This is one of the big three crowning achievements of your administration. And I know that we've already started to see some of the benefits of that in terms of broadband connections in rural areas. What comes next?
Well, what's exciting about this stage is we are seeing more and more of the projects move into a construction phase. We have identified 40,000 infrastructure projects, the majority of them transportation related, that are getting benefits from this bill. And it's only been 2 years since the president signed it. It's a 5-year bill. So every month we're going to see projects added to that roster, and we're going to see them move through the process toward completion. The thing that's been the most exciting and gratifying for me is the range of the projects getting done. You know, some of them are multi-year projects. I call them the cathedrals of our infrastructure. I heard you just a moment ago mentioning the president's announcements, one of which brings the Hudson River Tunnel to a level of funding that makes it one of the biggest public works projects in recent American history. All the way through to some, six-figure grants that we're doing that are transformative for a rural community that needs a deadly intersection to be redesigned, or even a municipal airport to be redone. So we're seeing things that are large and small, rural and urban. And of course, that was the president's vision in pushing so hard for this bill in the first place. That wouldn't just be a particular project. It wouldn't even be confined to one mode of transportation. It's trains, planes, automobiles, and beyond.
You just mentioned a really important component here, and that is the 5-year lifespan of this bill, of this law. Will it be fully implemented in that time, Secretary? And do you wish you could front load some of the stuff that's going to take a couple of years?
Yeah, so that's how long we have to move the funding. But the way the bill is set up is we can get some of it out the door sooner rather than later. So it's not just that kind of 1/5 of the money moves each of those 5 years, and we want to do as much as we can quickly. Of course, the only thing more important than doing it quickly is doing it right. We're talking about taxpayer dollars. We're going through lots of steps to make sure that they're spent responsibly and effectively. But already north of $200 billion have moved. And this is what it's going to take to really achieve that generational investment that the president was so focused on in pushing for this bill in the first place.
What's been, in this 2-year period, the biggest challenge of implementing this law? I know you've had Mayor Landrieu crisscrossing the country trying to put money to projects and implement what is a sweeping piece of legislation. What's the biggest hangup that you've faced?
Well, certainly delivery is a challenge. It's one thing to get a project funded, which is why most of these projects never got off the ground up until now. But it's another to see it all the way from getting funded to actually going into construction, and then getting to that great day when we cut the ribbon and that new airport, that improved tunnel, that fixed up bridge, whatever it is there for everybody to use and to take advantage of. One of the biggest challenges has been workforce, which of course macroeconomically is a much better issue to have. Where are we going to find the workers compared to the issue of where are they going to find the work? But it's still an issue. And it's one of the reasons why we've been very proactive on that. Our department's participating in a program that the president's called for workforce hubs to be set up around the country, and getting creative. Things like a facility I saw in Pittsburgh. They're doing a major airport project there. There are a lot of working parents, working moms in particular, who are working in construction on that project, who have a chance to do it because they set up a daycare at the construction site. A simple, smart move that unlocked a new source of human capital and gave more workers access to these good-paying, sometimes life-transforming union construction jobs. So we're going to have to be creative to address some of those constraints in our supply side, whether it's workforce, skill, raw materials even. But those are exactly the kinds of problems that we went into this line of work to be able to tackle because we're finally past the problem of there not being any funding out there.
Well, I know I'm not supposed to ask you this, and maybe you don't want to answer it, but I wonder if you worry about implementation of this bill being potentially interrupted if a Republican were to win the White House. Are you allowed to talk to me about that? What would happen?
Well, I guess what I'd say is that when politics interfere, it's never good. I mean, we saw that recently with these shutdown threats. That would have slowed us down or even stopped us on vital things like air traffic control, hiring, which I think we all recognize we need to be doing more, not less, right now. And it would have impacted at least some of the infrastructure work going on. Right now, I mean, without getting into campaigns and elections, I can tell you that right now we have a congressional GOP in the House that is proposing major cuts that would cut our ports program. It would cut the program we've used to build safer railroad infrastructure. So I do worry about that, but I also think we have a pretty strong defense against that, which is the fact that when these projects actually happen, when we announce them, even the elected officials who voted against the bill and fought the president at every turn, they seem to be perfectly happy to celebrate the projects with us, which I think is a good indication that this really is good policy.
You know, I mentioned that before you came on in a conversation that we were having. Mr. Secretary, what do you tell these Republicans who have railed, and some still go on the floor? I think Tommy Tuberville was one of them, and then they go home and they celebrate the ribbon cutting. Is that actually is that a good problem for you to have because it sells the deal in the end, despite the headache putting this together?
Yeah, I mean, look, I have more appreciation for the handful of Republicans who crossed the aisle to work with Democrats and work with President Biden to get this bill done. But those who want to celebrate it after the fact, I guess, welcome to the party. I mean, these are going to benefit people. We don't have Republican roads or Democratic bridges. I mean, these are good projects regardless of politics, and they're going to benefit people regardless of their politics. And, we're not going to let constituents suffer because their particular representative was short-sighted about this. We're trying to really push past the politics and just get the work done.
Well, it's not every day we get the Transportation Secretary on the air, and we are talking with Pete Buttigieg here live on Bloomberg. We're a week out from Thanksgiving. My God, it's a week from today. I wonder what your team is working on and trying to anticipate in terms of disruptions or safety concerns on one of the busiest travel periods of the year.
Well, over the summer, we saw numbers that broke records in terms of TSA screenings, showing us we had all-time record high levels of passengers taking to the air. I think the same thing is going to be true going into Thanksgiving and the winter holidays too. And so it's the most important thing to me is that the airlines be ready to take care of their passengers, and that our department is ready to have those passengers back when they hit an issue. Compared to even 1.5 years ago, there is dramatically better, stronger passenger protection that our department can enforce. People should go to flightrights.gov, ideally before you buy a ticket, to learn a little more about what each of the different airlines is responsible for offering their passengers that again, we can enforce if there's an issue. We're also trying to make sure that operational concerns are being met. That's why we're aggressively working to modernize FAA technology, hire more air traffic controllers to support that increased demand. Economically, it's welcome to see more and more people returning to the skies because remember, since we're talking about anniversaries and what it was like a couple of years ago, it was only a little over a couple of years ago, everybody was wondering if the airlines would go out of business. Now we have kind of the opposite set of problems. We just need to make sure the system can keep up.
So no meltdowns, no big Southwest messes this year that we have to plan for.
Well, there better not be. And if there is a problem, the airlines know that we are going to be on it very quickly and holding them accountable. But look, we've seen, to their credit, we've seen them step up. We've seen a lot of improvement. The rate of cancellations is actually below what it was before COVID so far this year. I'm looking to the airlines to keep that up, and we'll do everything we can to help them meet those goals.
Mr. Secretary, I want you to know that your views are important to us around here. We like to wonk out on policy on this show, so I'd love to see you again and continue this conversation. Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg, hope you have a great Thanksgiving.